Welcome to So Many Receipts. I'm Shelley Seddon.
And I'm Fleur Michelle.
And we're two entertainment journalists based in Sydney, Australia, who love to analyse and talk about all things reality TV and pop culture.
Each week we'll be bringing you our take on what's trending. This week on MAFS, Jacqui and Ryan's disastrous homestay, the PR crisis on the Baldwins, broke Dorit on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and our pick to possibly win Aussie Survivor. So let's get started.
So let's get started with MAFS. I say after the last dinner party, we definitely need a weekly MAFS drinking game.
Yeah.
So first up, we had Lauren and Boganic, which was amazing. And at the last dinner party, we had TJ saying darling constantly, which was actually hilarious.
It was like about 27 times or something.
Well, some people thought it was patronizing. I thought it was just hilarious that everyone was laughing and drinking. So I've made up some key words that I think we need to use every week when we watch MAFS.
Oh, okay.
So if anyone refers to someone as my person, drink. If someone says he has my back, he doesn't have my back, drink. And then if someone refers to someone throwing them under the bus, also drink.
Yeah.
And they refer to sex as being intimate. So
or intimacy.
Intimacy, yes. Were you intimate? So I definitely think we need to drink when someone says intimate.
Okay.
So I want to talk about Jamie and Dave first up. So Dave has a problem showing affection, but he actually does not have a problem showing affection when it comes to his dog. So I think he shows his dog more affection than he does Jamie. And I thought the conversation during homestays with her sister was revealing because Jamie has a history of apparently doing all the heavy lifting in relationships. And I think she needs to break this pattern. And Jamie shouldn't have to wait for Dave to play catch up. They have been together for 3 months now. Know your worth, queen. I think she deserves better than Dave.
Yeah, and the thing is he's now saying, oh, I'll do better, I'll try harder, I'll be more affectionate, maybe I'll get there with wanting to sleep with you, maybe, who knows. He's saying a whole lot of gobbledygook on the couch. And to her, going around in circles, when all this could just be summed up in one line, he's just not that into you. Because that's what he's thinking in his head, right? Yeah, but I don't want to sleep with you because I'm not into you. But he can't say that out loud because he's on a TV show.
Yeah.
And he wants to be in the show for as long as possible. And, you know, I think this was funny. I saw a TikTok of Jamie that popped up on my social media feed, which at the time didn't make any sense to me, but now does. It was Jamie at a Billie Eilish concert when Billie was just out here last month. So someone shot Jamie in the VIP area, and outside of the area there were hordes of young screaming girls screaming Jamie's name. I didn't even know they watched.
I love that for her.
Yes. Then you see Jamie waving her hands about saying something like, yo, men are mother effers, F man, women rule, yo. And I thought, why is she saying that? Because at the time, we were seeing her on screen in this love bubble with Dave.
Totally solid couple, yeah.
But now it makes so much more sense.
Exactly. I actually want to know, what was the perfume that Dave bought for her? You know,
the $400 thing?
I'm dying to know what that is. It smells like rich people.
Yeah, I know. Is it Baccarat Rouge or something like that?
I don't know. I want to go back and look.
But is he going to sleep with her now that he bought her perfume? Exactly. I don't know how that helps the cause.
Well, $400 perfume, you know, that's...
But but she might sleep with him because of that. But is that going to prompt him to sleep with her? He's like, oh, I just bought you perfume. Now I don't have to sleep with you, maybe.
Fair enough. I want to move on to Beth and TJ. So I never bought this relationship. Beth is 28 and she's never had a boyfriend. I find that very weird. And TJ is an actor, and he was on Big Brother season 15 in 2023. And I'm thinking he's just on the show to raise his profile.
And we just saw this week in one of the MAFS Facebook groups that we're in, it's MAFS Uncut, that someone brings up a photo of him from 10 years ago when he was a topless waiter.
Yeah.
With like really bushy hair. And weren't you saying that Elliot was also a topless waiter somewhere?
There was a picture of Elliot at Jennifer Hawkins' bachelorette hens do.
Yeah.
Topless as well. So these guys, they're F-boys from way back.
Yeah, exactly. And now TJ is basically in the same place as Dave. He's just not into Beth. And all this, I need for my emotions to catch up before I sleep with you. Well, if there was an actual physical attraction, I don't think either of these guys would have any trouble in that area. And the sad fact is, if these guys were dating these girls in real life outside of the show, I think they would have been long ago. Bye-bye.
Ghosted.
See ya.
Ghosted.
Yeah, you're just not my type. Anywho. So another week, another flurry of outrage from Jacqui outside of the show. So Ryan apparently put up on his personal Instagram page just recently, some which are now deleted, some texts, screenshots from Jacqui to him, which were very sexual in nature, apparently to prove that she was really into him during the actual filming. She's now snapped back into lawyer mode and said she's filed a police report against him for publishing revenge porn. Look, I don't know what to make of this couple or what is real, what isn't, what alternate reality are we living in with them. But I did find it a bit sad that they didn't part as friends, because apparently now he has, after the final ceremony, he ends up blocking her and she hasn't heard from him since. I quite liked the kooky energy between them. The goofy, wacky music is often played under their conversations, which denotes this is a comic moment. Like, they are affectionate as well, but now it's all turned to crap in the outside world, obviously.
They've always been weird. They're hot, they're cold, they're up, they're down, they're loved up, they hate each other. I mean, they've confused the experts, they've confused the viewers, they've confused everyone. And I thought during the homestays it was interesting. So Jacqui got a lot of heat because her house in Manly was actually an Airbnb. And I thought it was funny. The Daily Mail said her $200 a night Airbnb, flash Airbnb. A $200 Airbnb in Manly is not flash. And I don't know if they actually saw it. It was pretty sad. But it was obvious that it wasn't her house. And she actually lives in a share house with roommates. And her bedroom is apparently tiny. She has posted new pictures online of her actual bedroom and her actual house in Manly. But they apparently couldn't fit a camera crew in her apartment, and her roommates would have had to leave during filming. But I think the roommates should stay. I think it would be hilarious. And I don't know why they can't just say, you know, Jacqui lives in a share house, and it's about them just being in their neighborhood and doing their routine and their, you know, normal life.
Probably doesn't fit in with her classy image.
Yeah.
Or maybe the edit, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know why production made them fake it and say this is Jacqui's apartment, because it's so easy to check that in this day and age.
Maybe her real one looks worse than his though.
Yeah.
No,
So-
I don't believe that it could look worse than his.
But I actually thought Jamie's apartment looked fake as well. When Dave went to stay with Jamie, there was nothing on the walls, no pictures, no decor. It was really bare bones, and it seemed like it was really soulless and fake as well.
Yeah, they're doing a Meghan Markle, a
Yes.
fake house.
Yes. So-
Rent a house.
But the best part of this homestays week was when they went to Ryan's frat boy apartment.
Yeah.
Gold. He is so clueless, and he was so house proud, bless his little heart. And he was like, you know, saying my beer stein from Germany and my samurai sword. And you can see Jacqui was just mortified and not saying anything. And you can see why she would be attracted to Clint, a man with this beautiful modern mansion in Tasmania with a, you know, tennis court and a bar and sophisticated taste.
Yeah, but I did love how Jacqui said his house, Ryan's house, reminded her of a home for the elderly.
Like a shut-in,
Yeah.
a hoarder house.
And that had made her cry, and she was sad. It was so dusty. Look, she says she has gotten a bad edit for this
Right.
ongoing crying, because her argument is that when it comes to when she cries on camera, she's actually crying about serious issues or serious things or feeling very stressed or overwhelmed. But she was crying about his house.
Yeah.
And making it like it was so serious, right?
Yeah. Like she felt sad for him.
Yeah. And didn't she also cry about his beard?
Yes.
Like, well, who cries about a beard? Plus, oh my goodness, this is so funny. And I'm going to put this up in our Instagram reel on our page. So go and visit our Instagram after this. I saw Clint just recently, like in the last week, on a Yahoo lifestyle video interview where he is now sporting a beard.
No.
Yes, and it's a little goatee and it's like a porn star moustache, which is the worst combination ever. Did he convert Jacqui to beards? Has she now made up with beards?
Oh my God, I didn't know this.
That's startling news, right?
Yeah.
He's fully got a beard.
Gross.
Like,
I need to look because
WTF?
I'm anti-beard as well, so
Oh, okay.
I agree with her. Yeah, but I'm the same way. Like
they all got a beard. They all had one at the dinner party.
Hate facial hair. So I actually want to.
Speaking of facial hair,
yes, tell me.
Well, aren't you going to talk about Adrian now?
Oh God, Adrian. Yes. Speaking of disgusting facial hair, so Awhina and Adrian, I still don't know why these these two are together. I think after that disgusting family and friends debacle, that should have ended their relationship for good. And so he went to Perth, and thank God Athena didn't introduce him to her son. And I just think Athena does not need another child, and he is basically a large child.
Yeah.
But I think producers must have convinced them to stay together after that family and friends thing. Just stay together during the show. Plus, he lives in Sydney. She lives in Perth. There was no way this relationship was going to work long term.
Yeah, and plus you keep calling her Athena, but it
sorry.
is Athena. But I don't blame you because it's spelled Awhina, and I just think it's a Maori spelling. I think it's kind of hard to get your head around it. But anyway, it's been a long season. We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you. You know what I thought after that? Speaking of his sisters, in that scene after that horrible showdown where the twin sisters yelled at her in the pub. What I found interesting is that the sisters don't have a Western Sydney accent like he claims to have.
Right.
Like he's always said his voice is the product of his environment. Everyone around him speaks that way. But there's always been this theory that he may have been born with a hearing defect, which has led to a speech impediment. That's actually quite a widespread theory, which, by the way, nothing wrong with that if he's got a speech impediment. His twin brother, interestingly, also sounds exactly the same as him, but neither of them sound like the sisters, who spoke very well during that catch-up and did not need the subtitles.
Exactly. The subtitles have been a mystery all season.
Yeah, what's going on? Anywho. Now, on to the very literally messy life of Alec Baldwin, his wife Hilaria, and their 7 kids and 8 pets. This week in their new reality show, The Baldwins, Alec heads to New Mexico for his trial of involuntary manslaughter, which was back in August last year. That's when it was shot. So this is, of course, to do with this tragic death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, who was accidentally shot and killed by a gun that Alec was holding on the set of his movie Rust in 2021 when it discharged. So why in God's name were there live bullets on set? I don't get this. This was the responsibility of armourer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, a 26-year-old woman with not a lot of industry experience who was hired by another producer, not Alec, who was also a producer. I just don't get it.
Yeah, if you're going to cut corners on a production, you do not cut corners with a cheap armorer.
Yep.
So Hannah was in charge of the box of bullets the day that they were filming, and it was since found out that in the box there were blanks, but there were also 2 live bullets. And in her defense, she said she didn't know why these 2 bullets were there or how they got there. That's not a defense.
It's like Russian roulette.
Yeah, it's so scary. I think live ammunition has absolutely no place on a film set. And it was her responsibility to make sure the set was safe, and she obviously failed.
Wouldn't she test them first at a gun range? Or I don't know what the protocol is for bullets and guns. I would think it would be such strict protocol.
Absolutely.
I mean, it would be like anything, like explosives on a set or jumping out of a plane or whatever. Wouldn't everything to do with safety be tested first multiple times?
Yeah,
Awful.
double checked, triple checked. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, this armourer was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and is currently in jail for 18 months. But Alec was acquitted. So we both have PR backgrounds. What is your take on Alec doing this show?
So I've always liked Alec Baldwin. 30 Rock is one of my all-time favorite shows, and he'll always be Jack Donaghy to me. But is he a flawed human? Absolutely. And this new show about their crazy family life so the show's about their crazy family life and Alec being on trial for manslaughter. It's such a weird combination. But I do think, obviously the death of Halyna Hutchins was absolutely tragic, and it was a horrible accident. But sending a 66-year-old man with 7 children to prison is just not going to help anyone or bring her back. And I think this whole chapter has taken a huge toll on Alec and his family, you can tell. But, it's just tragic. And I do want to mention something else that stresses me out every time I watch this show. Their Hamptons house has this huge pool, and it's not gated or fenced. And they have 7 children under 10 years old. That baby keeps popping up, in random places. They can't keep track of the baby. They can't keep track of these kids. I just worry this is an accident waiting to happen, and it makes me really, really anxious.
Yeah, and that's a good point because he's already been in one awful accident, some tragedy that just like a mishap, like wouldn't it make him hyper vigilant, especially with all of those kids?
Yeah.
I knew that when my kids were young, you're watching them like a hawk, like at a park, everything, let alone a pool, an unfenced pool where none of them can swim or very few of them can swim. Look, the general opinion from crisis leaders after this shooting happened was that he should have laid low, like back in 2021 afterwards. Well, he didn't do any of that because he continued to go to a lot of events looking happy and smiling. He even had a fight, which was quite highly publicised, with a waitress at a gala event when he called her a peasant.
Oh, God.
For me, the show is a little ick because had that woman not died, had the whole accident never happened, I'm not sure the series about their kids would have been interesting enough or greenlit, because I felt this accident element actually has given a lot of extra interest. I personally think if I was advising him as a PR manager that he now needs a new gritty role, a homeless man, a drug addict, an indie film, but nothing with weapons, obviously. Yeah. A role where he invents himself like Brendan Fraser did in The Whale, playing an obese man. So all of the chatter is about him being a remarkable actor, like a new acting tour de force. Hilaria is a yoga instructor, so why doesn't she just do her own yoga series? I'm not sure reality is their jam.
Yeah, I do think Hilaria, she always wanted to be on TV, and she had all of these kids so they could be like this Brady Bunch type of family. So I think that was her end game the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
So she had all these kids just to get a show?
Yeah, because she's into cooking, she's into, lifestyle stuff, wellness, blah, blah, blah. I think, this is a perfect thing, like this crazy family life, and we're the Baldwins, the Baldwinitos. And Yeah.
Okay.
But
maybe there was something behind it, some intent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, on to our Real Housewives segment for the week, starting with Beverly Hills. First up, the latest gossip outside the show is that Dorit's hairdresser, Chris Dillon, said she never paid him for her glam. She owes him money. And he actually does appear briefly in the last episode, making up for something. Tracy Tudor, who is on $1 Million Listing LA and knows Dorit well, then also gave her own spray saying Dorit doesn't pay the bills. What is going on here, Dorit?
So Dorit does have a reputation for not paying her bills, and so she was on Watch What Happens Live talking about Tracy Tudor trashing her, and she was then trashed her makeup artist. And Chris Dillon, who worked with Dorit on a couple of jobs at the end of last year, went on TikTok to defend himself. And he has all the receipts and everything that he shows. And he was following up with her accountant. And after nearly 4 months of not getting paid, he thought he was going to get paid in 24 hours. 4 months later, he finally is like, screw this, I'm going to contact Dorit directly. So Chris was at Tracy's house. He messaged Dorit, and they jumped on a call together. And Dorit was disputing some of the charges on the invoice. There was an innocent mix-up with some of the hotel charges, and she ended the call by saying that his balance would be paid in full and that they would never work together again, and just gave him a huge spray.
Yeah.
And so Chris got off this call, and he was really shaken up. So Tracy felt the need to defend Chris when she later appeared on Jeff Lewis's radio show. But like I said, Chris has the screenshots, the receipts, the timelines. Dorit is a grifter. I'm totally team Chris on this.
Yeah, and as someone who's often worked for themselves over the years, who's dependent on people paying you, someone not paying you for 4 months is, oh my God, that is so maddening. It's so rude.
Yeah.
I don't get it with Dorit. I mean, I think, doesn't PK still owe about $1 million to the IRS or something?
Yeah.
I simply can't figure out if she's technically broke or not. And actually, the whole last episode, we saw Sutton apologising to Dorit for calling her brokey poor. The whole episode was one big, long apology, but then we found out Sutton didn't really mean it anyway.
Right. Shocker.
It's all such a grey area. However, I would say to Dorit, just stop buying clothes for both yourself and your kids. Do not buy a single new thing for 12 months. You have enough clothes to last a millennium. Get rid of some of your cars. Don't have 4, just have 1. And if you are having some kind of money troubles, why not dial it down a bit? Everyone else has to. So, Shell, do you think it's possible for someone so-called rich as Dorit to sort of live a humbler life in LA, because you lived there for years, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
LA is all about posers. It's all about smoke and mirrors. Yes, it's possible for her to cut down, but no, I don't see Dorit doing it. She's gone from like a normal person to super high maintenance. It's like she has to keep up, the facade.
But what does she keep buying? Like, because she can, like all of them, they can just hire their clothes or get borrow them for a day.
You would think.
But so what else is she spending money on?
I don't know. Her house is getting foreclosed and
Oh, it is,
glam.
is she?
Well, obviously she's not paying for her glam, so
No.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But
Have you got a secret addiction to something we don't know about?
know.
Why is all this money going?
I just have to mention that Sutton is freaking exhausting. I hate that all these shows are revolving around her.
Yes, that's true. She's always in the mess of everything.
She's not watchable. She just annoys me. And I have to say, this trip to St Lucia, they brought glam. Now they're bringing assistants. Avi, Bose brought her assistant.
Yep.
And the whole show was about the assistants taking selfies of them after they're in glam by the pool, and it's all about the thirst traps. So it's not a girls' trip. It's all about marketing and selfies. I just thought that was such a turnoff.
Yeah, and I have to say I did agree. I think it was Erica who said on this last episode, I've noticed with you, whenever someone's going through something awful, like a divorce or a crisis, you love to kick someone when they're down. And make a whole drama about it, which I do agree. I mean, maybe that's just her being smart about a storyline, but it does seem not very nice.
Yeah, and they did have the montage of her going after Kyle and Dorit
through the years.
And Erica. Exactly. Yeah, Mrs. Sisterhood Girls Girl. Not so much, turns out. Let's move on to the Real Housewives of Sydney. So we have some background tea on why Terry didn't show up until episode 3. So apparently the contract negotiations between Foxtel and Terry broke down, and they had no choice but to go ahead and start filming this season without her. So then talks later resumed, and it was decided that Terry would return to the show and bring the drama. So that's why she didn't appear until last week.
Okay, I thought they were just trying to build up her moment for something dramatic. It was actually more pedestrian than that.
So there was also some good tea about the reunion that was filmed in November, and apparently it was a debacle. Caroline had a meltdown and threw a stiletto at a producer.
Okay, are we going to see that? I so want to see that.
I know. So that is some Naomi Campbell level divadom right there from Caroline. So I was very excited to see another Jacqui this week. Jacqui Gillies from Melbourne.
Yeah.
So Jacqui doesn't have enough sage to cleanse the bad juju that exists between these bitches, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I was very proud of Krissy with her big dick energy. I love that. Totally describes her. So
BDE.
BDE. Perfect description of Chewbacca.
Yeah.
And I say that with love.
Yes.
So I was very proud of Krissy with her BDE standing up to her ride or die Nicole, because Nicole is killing that show. And if Denise Richards can forgive Erica Jane, Nicole can forgive Terry for being late and snubbing her at events.
Yeah.
So I think something happened between Nicole RSVPing for the healing session and then her not showing up at the park. I don't know if she got spooked or felt that there was going to be a pile-on or what, but Nicole has said she doesn't like confrontation or negativity in her life. If that's the case, honey, you are not cut out to be a real housewife. So I would just say, Nicole, you're lovely. I have met you, but please stop wasting everyone's time.
Yeah, and I love Krissy's big dick energy. You're so right. Look, agree. Ladies, you are on there to fight and do battles. You're like the modern day gladiators.
Yes.
Okay, let's see what you're made of. By the way, didn't Krissy and Caroline and Vic go on a podcast recently and refer to Kate, who is a vet, as Dr. Death?
Yes, they were joking because she did put down Caroline's dog, and she was very compassionate about it. But it's obviously Kate didn't find it funny.
No, tone deaf. I mean, that's just so appalling because Kate's been very candid in saying, as a vet, she sees death about 3 to 4 times a day, and it can be very mentally draining. Also, I agreed with her when she talked in this episode about how much she still grieves for her own dog who died. Right. I mean, I empathise because I think it's so odd when someone's pet dies. People initially are very sympathetic. They might give you one text message saying, I'm so sorry. But after that, they're sending you the one message. It's like no one ever mentions it to you again. They never ask you about it. It's like just never even existed. And that can be so tough to move on from.
Yeah, I agree. I really felt for Kate because as, someone who has a fur child and not a human child, that's your baby.
Yeah.
And so I just really felt for her in that scene.
Yeah, and I'm also curious about Pale Barbie Martine. I do find her intriguing. She hasn't really stepped that much up to the plate so far, but she does have a psych degree. I went looking for her receipts. She left a job in corporate HR to be a stay-at-home mum to her two kids who are 7 and 4. I was actually reading an article the other day that a lot of super wealthy men in Australia actually take steps to protect and hide their exact wealth from their spouses in the event of divorce, and the wives end up getting much less than they thought they would. Not that there's any hint of a split coming between Martine and her husband John, who's a retired banker with money bags, but I thought, wow, you haven't worked for 7 years. I just thought of Martine for some reason when I read that article.
Yeah, well, I mean, just look at Beverly Hills. You've got Erica and her high-profile divorce, Sutton and her gazillion-dollar divorce, and everyone's saying, get a lawyer, forensic accounting.
And now Kyle's going to get divorced.
And Kyle, yes.
Dorit. Well, we don't know about Dorit.
Yeah, and Kyle, I'm sure they didn't have a prenup because they were so young when they got married, and now they have so many assets, but Kyle doesn't seem to be worried about it, and everyone else is worried for her. But it's also interesting that PK has now decided to divorce Dorit just before their 10th anniversary, because in California, if you divorce over 10 years, then you have to pay a lot more, which is what Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman
decades ago.
Yeah, like it's classic. You just right before the 10-year mark.
It's such a weird quirk, isn't it? Because in that state, because it puts such pressure on you really to kind of make a decision about your relationship and really step up to the plate about it, which in a way maybe that's good, like, you know, don't drag something on if you're not sure, but it's a lot of pressure.
It's got me thinking, does this exist in Australia?
I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever heard of it.
I need to check because my 10-year anniversary, it's next year.
Oh, God. Let's do some receipts digging for some personal reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, onto a rather unpopular cast member on Southern Charm, which is a show we absolutely love, JT. So in the last episode, he was really upset about a rumour when word got out that he supposedly told someone there's some black girl, a.k.a. Vanita, trying to get me to break up with my girlfriend. So JT strongly denied he said some black girl and said that it made him sound like a racist. So this is now the reason why people think he's now left the show mid-filming in the season. He was so offended that he was portrayed as a racist, and he's sick of everyone picking on him.
Yeah, this was the most ridiculous game of telephone. JT was chatting with his barber about the show when he was getting his haircut. Then when Ryan got his haircut, the barber was chatting to Ryan, who then chatted to Vanita, who then chatted to Leva, who then chatted to JT, who then chatted back to his barber again. It's like, I need a flow chart.
We need Ryan's whiteboard from MAFS.
Absolutely. So obviously whatever comments JT made, they were going to be misinterpreted by this level of telephone. I don't think whatever he said, it wasn't malicious, and I don't think he called Miss Pat the B word. And
no, I don't either.
Yeah.
And they kept showing that scene over and over again at the golf, practice thing. There was never any word of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have shown it if he had of.
Absolutely.
There's nothing.
And I also think he's just sick of people putting words in his mouth. And he just pulled the pin and was like, I'm done.
Yeah. And, I really think Craig embellished that whole B word thing.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't remember things properly.
Right.
He seems to forget that he didn't say that or he did say that. He's just got such a poor memory. Now, I just have to throw a little shade at Vanita because for a start, look, I don't think she was interested in JT. I think they both kind of said to each other, let's just pretend to like each other for a bit of a storyline. And then some crazy new info has come out this week, in the last couple of weeks, that she bought JT $5,000 worth of clothes as a weird gift,
right.
but it was on camera, but it was a scene that was oddly never shown. What is that about?
So actually, they were in a store shopping, and his credit card was in the car. And at that time, he was still recovering from his accident and using a cane. And apparently, he didn't want to go out to the car to get his credit card. So Vanita said, "Hey, just use my card." And JT did pay her back the next day. He has the receipt. He has the screenshot showing that he did send her the money the next day and paid her back.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a bit more sense because why on earth would she buy him $5,000 worth of clothes? But then she went rogue saying that the fish dinner, remember that scene?
The branzino.
So branzino is a type of fish in America, by the way. I had to look that up. The branzino dinner she cooked for JT where he said he had a girlfriend. She said that scene was actually shot by producers after the trip to Bahamas, and she's now mad at Bravo because she said it made out like she was pursuing JT during the Bahamas, but she said the edit made her look like a homewrecker. She didn't know in the Bahamas. However, I was believing her up until then, but JT's girlfriend, the actual girlfriend, Ali Perilous, just came out and said that she was introduced to Venita as JT's girlfriend before filming the season even began, and she has got the receipts if you want them. So, Venita, it looks like you knew about JT having a girlfriend all along. Look, I do actually like Venita, and I don't mind JT either. I think he was partly unpopular because he wasn't one of the cool, tall, good-looking F-boys. He never fitted in with them. He was a guy their own age calling them out as opposed to ancient T-Rav, Thomas Ravenel and Whitney, who's about 100.
And Shab, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I think he never fitted in.
Yeah, well, speaking of F-boys, I thought it was weird that Craig told Austin that he is an addict and he needed a break from their friendship to get better. What? Like, we need more information on this. Was he addicted to Adderall?
So what is Adderall used? Is it for ADHD?
Right, yeah, ADHD.
Oh, okay.
So in the flashbacks, he was very skinny, and he obviously had a problem with alcohol and his temper.
He was awful in those early days.
Yeah, and I thought it was ironic that they have this conversation while Craig had been carrying around a bottle of Veuve Clicquot the entire night and drinking from it. Plus, Craig and Austin are business partners once again and have opened a bar in Charleston called By the Way.
Oh, so, a bar, those two and a bar?
Right.
More booze, guys.
Exactly. So I just think if you're an alcoholic or have a problem with alcohol, I don't think it's a great idea to own a bar.
No.
But the other thing that I found weird in this episode was that Molly was talking to Taylor about her feelings for Shep, who is Taylor's ex. And I just feel like Taylor has no female friends on this show, and Molly is probably the only one who would film with her because Molly's kind of an outcast as well. But at the end of the day, I think I love Molly, and I think that she can absolutely do better than Shep.
She can, but she has no storyline other than being able to play the trumpet. And
it's like a mini tuba.
It's a tuba. Is it a tuba?
I don't. It's that mini little tuba.
Something she
I don't know.
blew into. Anyway, she needs a romance. Quick,
she needs to blow something up.
Yeah. Who can we set you up with? Maybe from another show, so Bravo get more cross promotion.
Exactly. Maybe Southern Hospitality. Someone from that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to our rose and thorns for the week. So my rose is my new favorite show, Summer House. I started watching this show because I became so obsessed with Craig and Paige from Southern Charm, who are both on this show as well. So basically, this year the gang is back in the Hamptons with a pregnant Lindsay, and we get to hear Paige's side of the breakup with Craig.
Yeah, I liked Summer House too. I also thought it was very funny. In the last episode, there was a scene with Craig and Paige in New York, and it takes place in an Australian restaurant called Isla & Co. And they have yet another chat about how he wants kids and she doesn't. And Paige says, wait, are you breaking up with me in an Australian restaurant?
Dare you?
How bizarre. And by the way, if you haven't seen it, Craig orders kangaroo kebabs, which they both say is surprisingly delicious. Actually, look, isn't it weird how all the Southern Charm men, just going back to Southern Charm, they all date women that don't live anywhere near them? Have they just exhausted all their local resources?
Yeah, I think it's very convenient. They're in Charlotte, they're in the Bahamas, they're in New York.
It's probably an ideal setup for guys of this ilk because they get to be single most of the time and then they just have a girlfriend around for 1 or 2 nights a month. I mean, it's perfect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
For someone like that.
So now on to my thorn of the week. So it's Denise Richards and her wild things. The latest episode was her featured her chat with Erica Jane, which was very underwhelming. Erica treated her like absolute garbage when she was on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And Eric teamed up with Rinna to take down Denise when they were all talking about her alleged relationship with Brandy. And that's why Denise eventually ended up leaving the show. Yeah. But when Denise appeared, then Denise appeared on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills with her jacket upside down at that. It
was back to front too, and she had no idea she was so drunk and wasted.
Exactly. So when she made that cameo, that's when Erica asked her who made more money on OnlyFans, her or Sammy. That was so snarky and below the belt. You shouldn't involve the children, and that's what they should have been talking about during this catch-up.
So you're Team Denise.
Yes.
See, I'm Team Erica on this because Denise started the whole feud in the first place. Like, don't you agree? Like, so for people that don't know it, dinner party like 3,000 years ago
3,000
at
years ago, yes.
Denise's house. All the ladies were sitting around a table talking about sex. Erica talked about a threesome, but everyone was talking about sex. And then there was a second table nearby with Denise's then teen daughters, Sammy and Lola, and their friends. And the next day, Denise told Erica, "You shouldn't have said all that. I didn't want my daughters overhearing about threesomes." But they were all talking about that stuff. See, I think every housewives needs an ally, a best friend, as well as an enemy. I just think she's the wrong kind of enemy because you don't want to get her on Erica's bad side.
I just thought this conversation was so dumb. It's like these girls, it's like Denise Richards is your mother. She starred in Wild Things. She's posed for Playboy. Charlie Sheen's your dad, who has a revolving door of hookers. It's like, and she was worried about her kids overhearing someone talk about a threesome. It's just, I couldn't believe that this is the thing they chose to talk about at this makeup coffee.
Yeah, and it was just, okay, so Denise had made out like it was such a big deal over the years, and that's why she brought her onto this new show to talk about the incident with Erica. And then they both just go, "Oh, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm really sorry too. Anyway, what are you drinking next?"
Exactly.
Was that it?
Let's talk about the Lizard Memorial.
Oh, okay. Okay, moving on. My rose for this week, Shell, is for the unsung hero of Australian Survivor, Kaylin, who I believe is playing a perfect game. And here's my pick to get near the end because he pretty much gets zero airtime. And that's good because he's sort of got an invisible strategy going, you know? Like, I also did a receipts dive into who he actually is because I wanted to know more about him and I was just floored. So not only is he incredibly intelligent, he's now a PhD student in robotics, doing something with drones, and he's an engineer. He's also a former national and international champion stand-up paddleboarding.
That's why he wins so many challenges.
Yes, and he's now embarking on a journey, now that filming's over, of Survivor, to be the first Australian to ski the entire length of Norway in winter, up to 3,000 kilometres. OMG. Wow. I wonder if he's going to win lots more of these individual challenges. Plus, he's good looking.
Yeah, he's not a himbo. He's brains and brawn.
Yes.
So I think I would love for my girl Logan to win, but I do think Kaylin has a really good shot.
He's your pick too?
Yeah, I think he's smart, and he isn't seen as someone who's trying to control the game and isn't a big threat and making big moves. Everyone likes him. But I do have to give a special shout out to Miles, the jungle rat.
Oh, I love Miles.
He's not boring, and he's willing to make big, crazy moves. And after the last couple of tribal councils, things have been completely turned upside down, which makes for really great TV.
I love a nerdy guy in Survivor. Like there was an American one years ago. I think his name was John, and he was the ultimate nerd. Like just won a very feeble. He did win an immunity, but it was a very feeble immunity where he had an advantage. But he ended up winning the entire show.
Right.
And he got unanimous votes, not a single one against him, because he was like, Rise of the Worm or something.
Exactly. And I loved what Miles wore to tribal council. He had on the little buff as his little bandeau top and these little tiny shorts, and everyone, I loved watching like JLP. Everyone would just like burst out laughing.
Yeah.
Love him.
Love that. So my thorn is The Real Housewives of New York. It's currently not on, but it gets a thorn from me anyway, even out of season, for being consistently bad.
True that.
I heard this week that producers are now casting for new cast members, and it's speculating they will get rid of at least 2. I say get rid of Jenna Lyons and Raquel, nice ladies who don't add anything. Also, please, can we get rid of Sai? I've always personally disliked her. She's so abrasive, unfunny, unlikable. Who would you get rid of, Shell?
Well, I would say you cannot touch Jenna effing Lyons.
Oh, no.
I know. No,
really?
I know she doesn't bring that much, but she's Jenna effing Lyons.
Okay.
And we know that boring Rebecca will not be returning, thank God.
Yeah.
But I think that Bryn's not coming back. She's just done too much damage. I think Bryn's gone. But something interesting happened this week. Lindsay Hubbard from Summer House was just photographed having lunch with Aaron. So there's been this big campaign for her to join the show, and she would definitely be a better fit for Real Housewives now that she's a MILF instead of having a pregnant lady in the Summer House. And Julia Fox's name has also been mentioned, and she would be fantastic.
So do you mean Kanye West's ex, Julia Fox?
Yes.
The woman that wore the horrible see-through dress to the Vanity Fair's Oscars party and it had all those bits of fake hair stuck over her nipples and stuff.
Yes.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, she's actually
Is she mentally okay?
Well, she's crazy. She's for sure crazy in a good way.
Okay.
She's actually friends with Leah McSweeney. And another person who's been talking about recasting is Kelly Ben-Simon.
I love Kelly Ben-Simon.
She actually sent Andy Cohen a list of housewives for a reboot. She would be the star of the show, and it would be her and her friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she's now a high-powered real estate agent in New York. I would totally watch that show. Scary Island 2. This time the island is Manhattan.
Yeah, she is really scary in a good way, watchable scary. Let's bring Kelly back.
Absolutely. So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. I'm Shelley Seddon.
And I'm Fleur Michelle.
Join us next week for So Many Receipts.